Hey, I'm Father John Comerford, John J. Comerford, John J. Joseph Comerford. For many years of teaching English, I like alliteration. The two strongest influences on my vocation when I was in high school were Father Cyprian Hibner, who was my sophomore English teacher, memorably, and Brother Charlie Kwiatkowski, Brother Charlie, who was just recently professed. And Cyprian, his gift to me was to see high school teaching as a dynamic priestly ministry. And Brother Charlie's gift to me was we are a community of brothers who pray. And so those have been the two strongest influences among many other great teachers I had in high school. I was a junior when I began thinking about vocation, and I talked about it with my friends. Then when I was a senior in October of senior year, the vocation director was Father Roy Connery. Father Roy, the year before, had been vice principal at Catholic High and was also my religion teacher, an excellent religion teacher. So he came to visit in October, and we got little notes. We filled out little cards in religion class. You know, if you're interested, fill out this card and Father Roy will talk to you. So I got pulled from religion class with Father Basil McMahon. And so I went to talk to him in a little room on the second floor of Catholic High underneath the Victory Light. And so he said that there would be a visit to Niagara Easter week, and that there'd be a group of guys from the three Midwestern high schools, Carmel Mundelein, it was brand new, Joliet Catholic, and Mount Carmel, Chicago. And we'd all be there for Easter week along, and we'd be kind of getting to meet the guys in the class ahead of us, and they were the ones who kind of show us around. Anyway, so three of us, we drove to Niagara with Roy for Easter week. We drove, I think we left Easter anyway, and the whole week, and it was a wonderful week. And it was my first time at Niagara, my favorite place on earth, where eventually I professed my vows. And it was a great week. And it was one, what I would call confirming experience, in the sense of like my being there during that time, meeting the upperclassmen, although we didn't have much contact with the professed, but I knew some of them who were from Joliet and the class ahead of us. So it was kind of like, that was kind of a first yes. It was kind of like, I feel at home here. I've always felt at home at Niagara. I always referred to it home. So that was a tremendous experience, anyway. And then I got back and I had to finished up the yearbook. So we were in the room 206 and 207 at Catholic High. That was where the guys were working with me and were finishing up the yearbook. And it was a Sunday afternoon. It was very hot. We had all the windows open. And the guys were going for a donut run to Home Run Donuts that has just opened on West Jefferson, just past Rayner. It's still there. So it was Sunday afternoon, and we took a break while waiting for the guys to come back from the donut run. And so I dragged the chair over to the window and looking out in the courtyard, see if anybody walking by and so on. And all of a sudden, I heard singing. And I wasn't sure, where's the music coming from? And then I realized that it was the community across the courtyard in the monastery, and they had all the windows open over there too in the chapel, and they were singing Vespers. The community was gathered and singing Vespers. So all of a sudden I realized that the music was from the community, And so that was my second, what I could call confirming my yes experience. It was like looking out of the courtyard and hearing the community singing. It's like, yes, I made the right decision. And 11 years later, I was singing in that chapel on the other side of the courtyard, because then I was teaching at Joliet Catholic High School. Joliet Catholic High School, which now is Joliet Catholic Academy, which merged in 1992 with St. Francis Academy when both schools combined to be one. that's a long story, which I'm not going to share here. Anyway, so um, so we finished the yearbook, and so after a busy summer, and then getting everything ready to go to Niagara, because Niagara then, now it's a retreat house, but that was our college seminary. And so my family drove me up. My dad, mom, and my brother drove me up to Niagara because my brother was familiar with it because he had visited when he was a senior in high school, but he decided to become a pharmacist and go to Creighton in Omaha instead. Anyway, so I ended up on the doorstep at Niagara as a freshman, and I remember we went and we rang the doorbell. The door was locked to the left on the porch near the dining room, and so the person who came was running down the stairs. Was one of the juniors in college, Quinn Connors, who now is novice master, had been provincial, but he was the first person to open the door and say, "Welcome to Carmel." And so we got everything situated on the 4th floor dormitories. Okay, from the basement to the 4th floors, 88 steps. I counted them the first time I went up them, and I'd be running up and down them many times every day before and after class and house jobs and everything else. So anyway, so my first year of college was at Niagara, and it certainly was academically challenging, but it was wonderful, and we had a wonderful class. We had 44 of us who were freshmen in college, pre-novices, postulants at Niagara. We had 5 guys who were from California and Arizona. They were at the University of San Diego because it was a long distance to go to Niagara for them. And then we had the 5 brother postulants, and they were at the brothers' postulancy, which was then a chicken farm in Akron, Ohio. And they had 5,000 chickens that they took care of. Anyway, so, but when the next year we were novices, we all came together. So my 5th year, it's called 5th year because after high school, if you'd been in the high school seminary, it would have been your 5th year. So, but I'm not one of those, So, but our first year of college was called 5th year. And Father Theophane Matz was in charge of us. Very difficult person to deal with, and as people who know him know. Anyway, but it was a tremendous. I loved my first year of college. It was a great experience, and then after that, we went to novitiate. We were the last class to be novices at New Baltimore, Pennsylvania, on the farm, which had been a novitiate since 1933. In the 1890s, for a while, it was the college was there. There are interesting stories about that. But anyway, so we were the last class to be novices at New Baltimore. The class ahead of us was very large. There were almost 40 people in that class. And so we couldn't arrive while they were still there. There wasn't enough room in the house for everybody. They were having their profession retreat, and then their profession there and their families coming. So we had our retreat to enter novitiate at Whitefriars in Washington, the theology house. So Whitefriars was named a temporary novitiate by Rome because that's where we were going to be for the 8 days of our retreat, which was a wonderful experience. Plus, we got to meet the older students, the theologians in the province at the time. Father Bob Colorese was among that group, Mike Mulhall, so we got to meet them, which was a great experience. Our investor retreat was a great opportunity to meet the guys who were immediately preparing for ordination to diaconate and priesthood and to make solemn vows. And again, it was a great experience of community at that time. And Then, after our retreat, we got on a bus to go to Baltimore to be novices. We turned the corner to come up Monastery Hill, across the turnpike, around the circle to St. John the Baptist Monastery, New Baltimore, where standing on the step were the priests and the novices who were professed the day before, who were about to leave for Niagara, and also Father Theophane, who had been in charge of us the year before. It was the most important year of my life. It was the most growing year of my life. It's where we learned what it meant to be religious and to be Carmelites, and we learned Carmelite history and so on. But it was our first experience of community, and we started the year with 28. There were 28 invested at Whitefriars, and were professed on August 22nd, 1968, and in the main chapel at Niagara, my favorite place on earth. And the 13 of us who were professed, out of 28 that began, 13 that professed, we knelt and put our hands into Father Malachi Smith's hands to profess our vows in the main chapel at Niagara. Now, wearing our habits, having been invested, we were jumping up and down. We were so excited. It was one of the most unrestrainedly, most joyful moments of my entire life. There was that sense of, we have arrived. We belong,